Welcome back to that one random podcast. I am Cypher.
I'm Treble.
And let's get into it.
We're back.
All right, we're back. Listen, look, got an interesting one for you today, bro.
Cool, I don't know the topic yet.
You don't know the topic yet. I thought I'd keep this one a little secretive. Have you heard the latest news about the pyramids?
Yes, but I actually haven't looked into it too much, so please tell me you've got some good information.
I got some information, yeah.
I did come across it, but I've not.
And I thought, it's a hot topic right now. And I thought, I know we just talked about, we just did an episode, obviously, on The Exorcist and all that sort of stuff. And we talked about quite a lot of things, religion, Anunnaki and stuff like that. Yeah. And I thought this would probably be a pretty good one to talk about as well, because it will involve an Anunnaki a lot. But I do have some pretty good information. Some
all right,
good,
let's break it down.
Short videos that kind of explain the whole theory and what they found through the scans as well. So basically, if you don't know, two scientists have basically done some scientific scan of the pyramids, and below they said they found a structure.
I did see the renditions of like these pillars underneath this giant structure that is underneath the pyramids, and I already had that in my head in terms of from this ancient civilization, ancient apocalypse, whatever, Anunnaki, alien race, giants, whatever.
Yeah.
But then I also understand that the Egyptologists have been gatekeeping the pyramids for so long. And so now that it's come out into the mainstream, my skeptical mind is like, okay, how do we approach this? So if you've got some good information, I'd definitely break it down.
I'm going to start off with some clips from one of my favorite, or probably my most favorite TikTok page at the moment, from a page called Genius Fiction. Go check them out. Really good page. Very clever in how they put information out. So TikTok doesn't.
Are they just on TikTok, or they got YouTube as well?
They've got YouTube, but there's barely anything on YouTube. Mainly it's all TikTok.
Right.
Yeah. But it's. I recommend everyone go and follow that page. They make it fictional, but they're really telling you something, if that makes sense.
What was the page again?
Genius Fiction.
Genius Fiction.
Yeah, go check them out.
All
right. So I'm going to start with them, and this is probably just them talking about it a little bit in their own way, in their own little cryptic way. The last clip I will show will be the one that really explains it all. Yeah, but I thought it's worth playing these other clips as well at the same time. So let's start with that one first.
Yeah,
and then right on the back of that, we'll play another one. So they'll be back to back, and then we can start getting into the explanation clip and stuff like that.
Yeah,
cool?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
What if I told you the pyramids were just the rooftops, and what lies beneath is the real secret? No, the real mystery is why they're suddenly telling us this. They're claiming a vast underground city exists beneath the pyramids, stretching kilometers under the Giza plateau. But here's the thing, nothing reaches the mainstream unless it's been greenlit. So ask yourself, why now? Because here's what they don't teach you. Advanced civilizations existed way before us. And I don't mean bow and arrows. I'm talking high-tech infrastructure, energy grids, and precision engineering. They've spent decades making sure that kind of info stays buried. Why? Because it breaks the illusion. Now, right when people are waking up, this discovery gets dropped. And remember how recently they were all in on UFOs and so-called alien sightings? It all ties together, building toward the next big reveal, that ancient humans had help from something they'll call ancient visitors, that beings from the stars came down and handed us knowledge we couldn't have had on our own. But if you've been paying attention, you already know that's just the latest version of an old narrative. These so-called visitors, they've been described in every ancient culture, just under different names. Some called them spirits, others jinn, some fallen angels. Today, they're called Greys, ETs, aliens. It's just the modern take on their deceptive branding. There was even a well-known occultist who made contact with one, called it Lamb. Looks just like your classic alien. And yeah, the place that contact happened, right inside the Great Pyramid. Coincidence? Probably not. Because this isn't just about history, it's about access. Access to knowledge we were never meant to have. Or at least not yet, so don't buy the shiny packaging. This isn't about aliens, it's about influence, control, and the long game. Because what's buried under the pyramids might not just rewrite history, it might expose the setup that's been waiting for you from the very beginning. I'm going to go ahead and say this is just a joke for entertainment purposes.
For millennia, the Great Pyramid of Khufu has stood over the desert sands, defying time and human understanding. A monument of stone, it has carried its secrets through the ages until now. 2 Scottish archaeologists and an Italian engineer, driven by relentless pursuit of truth, have uncovered a staggering discovery. Beneath the pyramid, buried beneath layers of rock and oblivion, lies an unknown structure, an underground architecture that defies all logic.
Now, of course, that's not the explanation video. We're gonna play that clip in a minute. That's about four minutes long. It's not long, but we've discussed this before about the pyramids, how they've been built, who built them. You and I both don't believe the original narrative, which is 50,000 slaves.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
Pulled 3-ton bricks that were towering above them.
The precision
and use rope and wood and
the wheel wasn't even invented yet
to lift them all the way up like that and put them on top of each other. There's no way. Yeah, we already know that. What's your thoughts though at the moment?
That first video. So is that the channel that
that's
about?
Genius Fiction? Yeah, they're awesome.
They were exact. They said what I was thinking in that before we did the video. The fact that it's now on the mainstream means it was greenlit by the powers that be, and so that should already raise the suspicion. I'm not saying that just because it's on back pages or in some underground Telegram channel that means it's true, but once it does come out in the mainstream, the powers that be have allowed it to be on the mainstream, and then you got to question then why have they allowed it? And as he mentioned about. This is all part of the plan. We the first episode we did was on the UAPs and the UFOs and stuff. So they've been planting that seed in our head for a while, and they're brewing it and they're brewing it, and they're hoping that this is gonna kind of get the people that are waking up. And it's not for everybody to get this information. You got ask the zombies on the streets and the NPCs in their phone. Most of them probably haven't come across this yet, but they're building it up. They're building it up, and the ultimate goal is that fake alien invasion. We talk about for the total control that they're going to try and implement. But these aliens aren't from this outer space. They are this biblical prophecy that,
Well, when we did that first episode, which YouTube banned. But you can see it on Rumble and Spotify. Go check it out. One of my mates says he loves that episode. He thought it was awesome. All right. But Tucker Carlson himself said, where do they come from? They come from the deep oceans. They don't come from the skies.
No.
They're from the ocean. Yeah. And now they're even mainstream are even saying that these things come from the oceans. Yeah. So when they were doing these Senate hearings or whatever with the whistleblowers or former employees of NASA or whatever it is.
These military guys.
Well, all these military guys. Where did they say they came from? They didn't say they come from the skies.
Nope.
They were coming from the ocean.
Shoots right out of the ocean, innit?
Out the ocean bed.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, before all of this started coming out, people were recording videos of this and they were saying, that's AI. That's AI. Now you got to wonder, was it AI? Or was that actually a UAP or whatever you want to call them? But
I'm not saying that UAPs aren't real. I'm
not saying they're not real.
I believe that they are real.
I genuinely believe the elites have always known about them.
Absolutely.
Been in partnership with them.
And that's the why the...
And even Tucker Carlson was saying that himself, that we were in partnership with them.
And as the first video mentioned, we've been in partnership with them for millennia. Back then we just called them different things, fallen angels and stuff, and now we call them greys. But it's all the same stuff, and it's all coming together. But you got to be careful on what information you start to believe in, because that's where they can get us. If we start thinking, these pyramids were created by aliens from outer space and they're visitors and they had advanced technology and they're going to come and help us, then you're already going to be a cuck for it, right? You're going to be like, you're going to submit to it. You're going to submit to it. But when you look at it from the open picture of, there was this advanced technology. Absolutely. There are these advanced interdimensional, whatever beings that have technology and powers that the human can't really understand or comprehend yet. That's real, but we've got to be careful on how we accept it, because they're in cahoots with the elites and the elites aren't working for us.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, anything that the mainstream media, anything that the politicians are putting out there, you should be very, very cautious about, and you should be questioning everything, and you should be doing your own research. Don't
question everything. That's the.
Do not trust these guys. Yeah, if they've known about this for God knows how long, and now they've decided to leak it to you. You know, UFO sightings have been going on for God knows how long.
Long time, bro.
Yeah, and it's nothing new. I know social media makes it look like it's ramped up, right? Mm-hmm. Because nowadays, yeah, you look at social media and you see it and you go, oh my God, look how many sightings now. Look. You can easily be fooled into believing that
this is a new phenomenon.
It's a new phenomenon. It's ramped up recently. We've got et cetera, but in actual fact, it's always been like that.
We just didn't have the phones to take pictures of it back then.
You just didn't have, have the technology to record it and put it up on social media. And second thing you got to ask yourself is, why are they allowing you to upload it? Before they wouldn't.
No.
They'll chop you down for that
Men in Black would come and neuralize you.
Exactly. And there have been one or two people who've disappeared in the last couple of years over this stuff because they've been revealing things that maybe the elites didn't want you to see, but they showed you by mistake or whatever it was. There have been a couple of bods that have disappeared and not come back on social media now. Yeah, so there are some things that have happened like that, but majority of it is stuff that they want you to see because they're allowing you to do it freely. Yeah, and like you said, Men in Black would have turned up by now, and then you're coming with us.
You don't remember nothing.
Big, yeah, bye.
And that's some real stuff, though. Like, you know,
people don't believe that either.
But that was some real stuff. You know, I heard some stories back in in Virginia, there was a UFO case, and the whole military came in, and they basically told the whole town, nothing happened, guys. Yeah, like and it's like just folklore now.
Shit.
But that was a real thing. Like the military all came in and was like, "Yo, you guys saw nothing." So now all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, put it on the news, put it on the TV. Let's make Netflix series about it."
You're not a crackpot. Let the guy out of there. Let him out of the asylum. He's all right. Yeah,
crazy.
It's like, but there's some people who've already got locked away in asylums for that.
Yeah.
You know, in mental institutes for that, because they will say he's nuts, she's nuts, put away, lock her away. But in actual fact, they were telling you the truth. And now the time's right, and they're ready to reveal this information to you. They're doing it because it suits their narrative.
Yeah, that's
the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But look, let's play the clip on which gives the explanation of what they found on the pyramid.
Because we're just talking about the UFOs and this ancient civilization.
But there's more to this.
But there's more to it, and I do want to see what the discovery was actually what they're saying. Yeah,
cool.
Corrado Malanga from the University of Pisa and Filippo Biondi, involved in radar and remote sensing research with the University of Strathclyde, published peer-reviewed research in 2022 via MDPI entitled Synthetic Aperture Radar Doppler Tomography Reveals Details of Undiscovered High-Resolution Internal Structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Their research was conducted using SAR data, synthetic aperture radar, along with proprietary software developed by Filippo Biondi that transforms the radar signals into phononic information, which allows for the detection of millimetric vibrations. This cutting-edge technology is capable of revealing underground structures invisible to traditional methods and revealed internal structures never seen before. Having established their expertise in using SAR to explore pyramid structures non-invasively, a recent press release on their current project was released last Saturday. This March 15th press release summarized the key findings in the team's research of the second largest pyramid of the Giza Plateau, known as the Gettr Pyramid, and what they found was astonishing. The analysis of dozens of tomographic SAR images obtained from different angles enabled the 3D reconstruction of inside the pyramid of Gettr and deep beneath the surface of the plateau. Near the base of the pyramid, 5 identical structures are seen, connected by geometric pathways. Inside each of these are 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof. Below these 5 structures are 8 cylindrical structures, which appear to be vertical wells, hollow inside, and surrounded by descending spiral pathways. These 8 vertically aligned cylindrical structures, arranged in 2 parallel rows from north to south, descend to a depth of 648 meters, where they all merge into 2 large cubic structures, measuring approximately 80 meters per side. The entire structure extends approximately 2 kilometers beneath the surface and extends beneath all 3 pyramids of the Giza Plateau complex. Mainstream Egyptology tells us that the Giza pyramids were tombs for pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, and that they were built around 2500 BC using ramps, sledges, and levers. But the redundant mathematics in their construction, which include pi, the golden ratio, and the speed of light, along with the testimony of today's expert architects, suggests that the official story does not hold up. The massive underground structure revealed by the recent SAR data shows what appears to be a mechanical or functional system, and this has been hypothesized in the past. Nikola Tesla believed that the pyramids could harness Earth's natural frequencies. This arguably inspired his experiments in wireless energy transmission and scalar waves. In The Giza Power Plant, Christopher Dunn argued that the Great Pyramid was a power-generating machine using resonant and acoustic forces to convert mechanical stress into electricity. In the Giza Death Star, Joseph Farrell proposed that the Great Pyramid of Giza was a weapon of mass destruction using a type of physics that he calls paleophysics to focus energy as a scalar weapon. The cylindrical wells could be conduits for energy or sound waves, and the cubic structures might serve as energy storage or stabilization units, akin to components in a large-scale weapon or generator. And the detection of vibrations in the pyramid's internal structures reflects all of these ideas. The Khafre project hopes to plan an excavation in order to discover more about this underground structure, but history shows that this will be very difficult to get approval for. Greg Reese reporting.
Okay, if you've got this far with the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and share the content, guys. Yeah, don't forget to do that. It's really important. We're trying to grow. So hit the like button, subscribe, and share.
And comment as well, you know. Give us your opinions. Like, we want to conversate with you guys too. So
get involved.
Let's get the community going.
Cool. What do you think, man?
So the truth is, I believe that. Like, I've been looking at the pyramid stuff back in the early days. Obviously, now everything's got so political, but ancient civilizations is really what I really like to learn about and really study. And I've accepted already as a truth that it's not a tomb and it wasn't built by slaves using sledges and ramps. And the best theory I have accepted is that it was a power generator, you know, like a power plant.
Which is what he's literally saying.
And which is what he said. And like, I use the analogy, if nuclear power plants, for example, we got these big nuclear power plants, if the human civilization was wiped out, and let's just go with the mainstream theory that we're evolved or whatever, and let's say the next group, like monkeys or something, evolved and found these nuclear power plants, and they just started to occupy it. They just started to live in the area, and they would almost worship these nuclear power plants, and they would draw carvings on it. Did those monkeys build that nuclear power plant? No. And so my accepted theory is that these pyramids were a nuclear power plant, a power generator from a previous civilization, an advanced, for lack of better, because in comparison, they're way more advanced. But that doesn't mean that the human civilization was the one that built it. And the point, the truth that I do believe, though, is that it was a power plant. And I did see some stuff from Eric von Daniken. If you don't check out his work, he's another leading. He wrote a book called Chariots of the Gods.
I've heard
similar
that
to Graham Hancock, Eric von Daniken, and he did a lot of research into ancient civilizations as well. And he was talking about in the pyramids underneath, they found a lake of water underneath the pyramid.
We played that clip once, remember?
Yeah.
We've done that. We played that clip.
Actually. Yeah, we did.
We did a short now.
Yeah, it was like a year ago now. Yeah, we did do a short. Check that out, guys. Yeah, we did talk about the pyramids before. But in that, he was talking about a lake underneath, and we're talking about chambers and tunnels that humans. There's no ladders or anything, so it's like definitely doesn't make sense with the human mainstream narrative that they're selling us. But the idea that there was water underneath is to conduct electricity, just like how Nikola Tesla was trying to do. And so with this new stuff coming out about these columns and these pillars going down deep into these chambers, to me, it makes sense that it's possible. It's possible, but I don't understand why they're telling us it now, because the thing with the pyramids is that the Egyptologists have gatekeeped it. Like, they have said nobody's allowed to look into this stuff. And so I'm a bit confused on where these two scientists, or these two and an engineer or whatever, had the permission to go and do some radar scans. And
well, this is the thing, in it, right?
That's where I'm getting a bit lost with it. Like,
but this is the thing, right? I think with the aliens, all right, whatever you want to call them, aliens, demons, whatever you want to call them, right? These beings that live under the sea, that come from the sea, they've already said that. Tucker Carlson's revealed that. Okay, they're now openly admitting that that's where they come from. They don't come from the air. They don't come from the skies. They come from the sea, right?
Also,
these guys, when they come up and they start wanting to convince us of all these things, have you ever thought that they're going to actually just switch on the pyramids? So we're saying where you're saying it creates energy, it's a power plant, right? Right now, you and me, the normal person, even the archaeologists, probably don't know how to switch it on.
Yeah.
And then these beings come along, trying to convince us, forget God, forget this, forget that. Yeah, you don't know what we know, and we're about to prove it to you. And then they boom, flip the switch on that pyramid. And then they start, imagine that power generator turns on, and everyone's going to be like, what the?
Yeah, that would be matrix shattering discovery.
Just to, like, if you wanted to convince people,
yeah,
if you want to manipulate people into bowing to you and getting on their knees and we're not worthy and all that shit.
You just wiped all the history books off the shelf.
Just come along and you said, look, we created this.
Free electricity for everybody.
Yeah.
But
there's always a but.
There's always a but. But yeah, but that's the crazy bit. Like, obviously, because Nikola Tesla was on the brink of understanding that technology and understanding the frequencies and waves and energy that you can get, free electrical energy that you can get from the earth in natural ways.
Yeah.
And the pyramids, being a power plant in the way that they are, wasn't relying on fossil fuels or wasn't relying on petrol to fill it up. But it was just about harnessing the etheric energy in the atmosphere almost. And we don't know how to turn it on. But if somebody did come and was like, yo, we know that shit.
It's pretty amazing, right? You're gonna fool a lot of people. A lot of people are gonna buy into what you're pushing, right? On the back of that. But at the same time, you need, like you said, we already done a short on this where there was the discovery of water or lakes, man-made. I can't say
like
man-made.
A swimming pool.
I can't say
it was definitely man-made because
I don't know if it was man-made or if it was made by the.
Okay, but not natural formation.
But yeah. It was made by someone.
Something
or someone made it, right?
Yeah, it was made.
But those lakes are there. We played the video footage of it in that short. So,
but that got hushed up. This is the thing. This is why I get confused now when they're telling us on the mainstream, because that information was like, no photographers allowed. Like, Egyptologists don't want you to discover this because it messes with the timeline. It messes with the official narrative, and so very few people were able to get that information and spread it, and it's not mainstream like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm a bit cautious when all of a sudden it's all over TikTok and it's all over YouTube and Twitter and, it's getting sent around. So what does that mean?
Well, I think...
Or is it just the truth is actually coming out and this is actually...
No, I don't think so. There's no way that information comes out without the powers that be wanting it to come out. I personally think there's no way, man. Like, those, like, don't get me wrong, they're playing the old classic game. Like, I haven't watched it. I think Piers Morgan's done an episode on this.
This already?
He's already had people on there, and he's had like scientists that are like for it, and then scientists that are trying to say, no, this is not possible, blah, blah, blah. This technology can't show you these things, and this is incorrect. So there's always scientists already kind of refuting it, right? Which is part of the game, right? You're going to have one side of scientists saying, or debating with another side of a group of scientists, say, or whether it's true or not, or whether this is fake or not, because they've got to make it, they've got to sell it to you, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so Piers Morgan's, and when Piers Morgan's already putting people like this on his show, it's only been like a week or so since this broke.
Literally.
And Piers Morgan's already got an episode up of it. I haven't watched it yet. That tells you everything you need to know.
The production team knew it in advance. Of course.
Right? So if someone like Piers Morgan, who is very much one of the top faces and top names in mainstream media, is already all over it. I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan's jumped all over it as well. I haven't checked his channel, but probably has. I can't imagine he hasn't. Yeah. And then you've got all the other big channels now jumping on it as well. What does that tell you? Yeah. It tells you that there's some truth to it, but at the same time, you got to start wondering now, okay, now's the time for them to listen, all this activity, UAPs, yeah, all this strange activity, all these drone activities, yeah. We've got potentially on the brink of World War III. Yeah, it looks like it's around the corner. For me personally, I know people don't want to hear that, and it's not a comfortable topic because we like to be comfortable in our homes. Yeah, but facts is facts. They've already put out an emergency warning. Make sure you've got 72 hours worth of in the EU. Have you heard about that?
Nah.
The EU have put an emergency warning out and said that you need to make sure you are stocked up for 72 hours just in case. So water, flashlights, battery operated radios, power packs,
Legit.
food, legit. Because what does that tell you? They're getting creeping closer and closer to war. Yeah, all these things are going to come to play, right? But on top of that, you're now releasing this, combined with all the UAPs. You want that whole one world government situation, new world order, whatever to bring into play. Then out of that war, what happens? Oh, suddenly these UAPs, these aliens, whatever you want to call it, come across and bring what? Peace to us.
Well, that's the game plan. And look, guys, this has been the game plan for a while. Like Ronald Reagan even said it. Like the only way to unite the people is if there was an extraterrestrial threat. But that could also be perceived as an extraterrestrial, to help.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a threat. I mean, threat is obviously what they were thinking in the 80s, but extraterrestrial, regardless, is the way to unite.
It wasn't even Reagan, even George Bush Senior was talking about it.
Everybody was talking about it.
He talked about New World Order, all that sort of stuff. It's no secret. Yeah, people just choose to ignore it because they don't. It pisses me off as well, right? Okay, I'm gonna have to say this, right? People see it staring in their face, and they're so frightened by that truth that they think, "Oh no, I'll stick my head back in the sand. It's not happening." You all conspiracy theorists, jog on. Yeah, it's a lie. You're nuts. Yeah. But we are getting closer to a reality you cannot afford to ignore anymore. And it's time to open your eyes and see what's happening. And that's the problem with the world at the moment. And I still feel like we've got too many normies out there who are just ignoring it and
NPCs, man, zombies. Honestly, I see it on the road every day. Like just people looking at us, like
staring into a phone, watching some stupid TikTok video.
Just walking in front of buses, it's crazy.
I ain't got a problem with you watching TikTok. If you're watching something to gain information, someone's putting some information, like you look at Genius Fictions, right? They're always putting information out there, trying to open your mind up to things. That's why they do it in a smart way as well.
Yeah, I'm not anti-technology and I'm not anti-social media. I'm just like, what are you watching and what are you consuming? Yeah.
If you're consuming belly dances on do you know what I mean?
There was a funny video that this belly dancer and she can flip a coin. Have you seen that?
No.
She can flip a coin on her belly. It's actually mad ab control. I'm not gonna lie.
Serious?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Was it hot?
I don't know. It was weird. Like she's flipping coins. She's got coins all across her belly.
Was she flipping a coin or
series of coins? Yeah, a set of coins, and she's flipping them over her belly, and like. It was mad. She's like, we'll have to do it. That's a sign. That's a sign. But I know what you mean in terms of like, there's too many people who have just NPC living this life. And that's not a bad thing if that's what you want to do. But the problem is, I don't think anybody really wants to do that.
You know what? I disagree, man. It's like, yeah. So, right, it was interesting, right? And I was watching a debate, right? And Gary Stevenson, the economics guy.
Yeah.
Right. Smart guy, never gets it wrong. He's been right all his career. Used to be a trader out in
I've seen
Canary
videos
Wharf.
on.
Yeah, considered one of the best on the planet. And he was saying it as well, where he was talking to another guy, and the other guy was saying like everyone can make more money and earn money and be an entrepreneur and stuff like that. And then Gary turned around and said it, and I thought, you know what, this is bang on what he's about to say. Not everyone wants to. He goes, not everyone can do it, because some people don't have the drive, the ambition that you and I have. Some people don't even have the intelligence to do it, yeah? But more importantly, some people just want to do 40 hours a week, make their money, yeah, and have enough money to pay their bills, pay their rent, their mortgage, whatever, yeah, have disposable income that they can put a little bit of money aside and still have disposable income to spend on their family and buy all the things that they want them to buy them, yeah, and they're happy to do that for the rest of their lives. He goes, regardless of what you say, not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, yeah. Some people don't want that. They just want a good job, 40 hours a week. I've got enough money for me and mine. I'm happy. Yeah, and I could save for the future as well, and for my kids and all that sort of stuff. I thought, you know what, that's pretty much bang on.
No, I agree with that.
That's pretty much bang on. Yeah, so I don't
think people want to be NPCs. I don't think people want to be brain dead zombies. Or do they? That's because an entrepreneur is one thing. You need to graft and you need to work hard.
I think.
But do people really just want to?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people want to wake up, man.
All right, that's
I was talking to my mates.
People don't want to wake up. Really, that's mad.
So I was talking to my
red pill, blue pill. I
was talking to my mates at the pub last time I went out with them, right? And one of them, like, I was getting deep into a lot of things, and like, he was raising like what's going on in schools at the moment, with the whole trans and inclusivity and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm going to go deep into this, but I turned around and said to him, and I explained to him who's really behind that, without going again too much into it. Yeah, and we know who's behind it. Yeah, some certain demographic. Yeah. We know, very powerful, yeah. That's what I'm gonna say, yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I got into it with him, right? And he goes, but this is the thing, like, he goes, I just want to raise my kids and etc. And I go, and he goes, I go, all I can say to you is, and he was like, really, is that how it works? And I go, yeah, that's how it works, bruv. And I go, what have I been wrong about? Like, people have been doubting me for 15 odd years now, yeah, and now it's all coming true. You can't even say to me, nah, you're nuts. And he's like, that's true. And my other mate was sitting in front of me. There was three of us out. We've known each other since secondary school. And I turned around and said to him, I go, but you know what? It's a good thing you don't know as well. Everything I know. Ignorance, because once your mind is open, bruv, you can't shut it off.
Nah.
I go, and that's what you two need to understand. With me, I can't shut off. It's really hard to have these conversations with you now, especially now. Like, it was hard before, but now it's even harder. And he's like, why? I go, because when you talk about things, you're talking from a normie aspect. Point of view,
yeah, man.
Perspective. And he just looked at me and said, I go, but when you say something like that, it triggers me, because I'm like, well, no, that's not the reason why. This is the reason why.
No, I hear that.
And I'm explaining it. Yeah. Do you get it? And it's hard to have those conversations with you. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad you don't know, because I'm telling you now, once your mind is opened up, you got kids, you got a wife, you got to spend time with your wife and your kids. I go, once your mind is open up, you can't stop looking at this stuff. You just can't. You can't switch it off. So I go, in a weird way, he goes, you know what, I'm kind of glad last year my brain's not like how mine doesn't work like yours does. He goes, I'm glad that I don't know the stuff you know, because you're right, I probably wouldn't be able to switch off. I go, no, you can't.
You want to, the information just comes at you.
If you're raising your kids and stuff like that, I go, it will get in the way.
Yeah, but I guess that's the truth. So, priorities change, innit?
So I think a lot of people don't probably want their mind open up. But they also want to live in a bubble, which is give us a good politician, a good prime minister, and all that fake bullshit. And believe in that democracy actually exists, and it doesn't. And they're happy to live in that fake bubble. A lot of them, and they don't want their minds opened up.
Maybe I'm just being naive then. Yeah,
I think you and I are different. I think we're rare breeds we're a rare breed, right? Whereas we're curious. We want to know.
Yeah,
we want to know the truth, and we want knowledge. And for us, knowledge is power. Yeah, right.
But I understand ignorance is bliss.
But ignorance is bliss, and I think there's a lot of people out there who like, whatever. I can't be bothered with that.
All right, maybe I'm just being naive, because I genuinely don't understand how you can be.
I think you and I
want to be ignorant, but
I think you're thinking like that, yeah, because that's how you think. But you got to understand, true. You got to snap. You got one thing I've always been good at is stepping out of my own mind and saying, all right, how does the normie on the street think? and the normie on the street thinks, it's why I can predict what the elites are going to do really well. Because I step out of my normie 9 to 5 mindset and say, if I was at that level, what would I do? Why do they do this? And you got to understand it. You got to get into the psychology of it all as well. And the normie out there, they just want 40 hours a week, paid well, low taxes, enough money to pay their bills and everything, feed their kids, their family, and have enough money left over to go on holidays, save money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want anything more than that. And that's a fact. And most of them, and a lot of them don't have sorry, I'm going to say a lot of them don't have the intellect to go and to be an entrepreneur. It takes a special someone to want to do that. You've got to have this drive about you.
No, I completely agree when it comes to the entrepreneur side, because that you need graft. You need, as you said, you need intellect. You need to have a little bit. You need discipline, and you need to be a bit.
Let's look at most people we work with and are around every day. Do you think they could honestly start their own business? No. So I don't believe.
Definitely not the entrepreneur, but I'm just shocked at the idea that people don't want truth, and people want to be ignorant in their own.
People want to leave it for other people to do it for them.
They want to be comfortable in their own ignorance. They're
lazy in it. They want a politician to do it for them. Yeah, it's why people cling on to so many politicians. Yeah, one party over the other and all that sort of stuff. Look at Trump, for example. Everyone's jumping on Trump. They know that the world needs saving. They know as a global community of people, we need saving, right? From what's coming.
See it. We need change.
And Trump says the right thing at the right time. Yeah, I'm not trying to make this about Trump, and now they've all jumped on the Trump bandwagon. Oh, he'll sort it out for me. He'll sort my problems out for me. And in all honesty, he ain't going to sweat a shit for you. Let's be honest. Yeah, he isn't. But I've got nothing against Trump. Same with Biden. None of them. Rishi, Starmer, Boris, doesn't matter. None of them are going to sort anything out for you. They're not going to fix anything. They work for the rich. But the laziness in people is like, I don't want to have to do this. Get someone else to do it.
It's going to get worse though with the technology, because I understand it. I do, if I had to put myself in that mindset, if you had some Vision Pro headset, some nice speaker or headphones, and you had all the streaming sites you want, fuck it.
What's the point?
What is the point, innit?
Yeah, like
GTA 6 on a VR headset.
So like most of the people out there aren't going to even know about this. They're not going to know about this, and because they don't know about it, and this is the kicker, right? Because majority of the people out there aren't going to know about this. Yeah, right. They're not paying attention to the whole UAP, UFO stuff, right? They've already forgotten about it probably now because it's died down quite a bit. Yeah, right.
That's what they do. They peak it and then they bring it down and then they're going to bring it back in.
But then when it comes back full force, yeah, they're going to go, oh my God, hallelujah. They're going to get on their knees and, oh my God, look, these beings are here to save us. And we talked about this last week, right? When we did the Exorcist episode, he referenced it, right? All right. At the same time, they're all going to get on their knees and go, oh my God, and just going to buy into it, and before you know it, and then you and I are going to be like, no guys, wake up, this isn't what you think is. Oh, shut up. And again we'll be, shut up, you conspiracy theorist. So we warned you that UAPs and all UFOs and all this technology exists. The pyramids aren't what they are. They weren't built by human beings. All this stuff that we've just touched on now, right? Okay, we were labeled what? Conspiracy theorists, right? Okay, now you're going to say, all right, you're right about that. Okay, yeah. Now, when the beings come along and they take over and they try to take over through manipulation, and we say, no, don't trust these beings. You don't know what this is. This is a trap. We're going to get labeled again conspiracy theorists. And then later on, they're going to realize, they're going to say, oh, we should have listened to you. And that's how it works.
I don't even think they'll accept that, because we saw with 2020, which we're not really going to.
Yeah, we're not going to go deep into that.
But I don't think even after that, people will say we should have trusted you.
No, I think people, they may not say it to you out loud.
Yeah.
But in their head, when they're looking at you, they're going to say, "Oh, I should have listened to you." Yeah, I've got a mate who's reluctant to want to admit that. Yeah, man. But he does as well, and reluctantly he admits certain things, and he's like, "Yeah, you said that a few years ago. You said that a few years ago." It's like, problem is, right? People's ego and pride gets in the way, and they feel like their intelligence has been insulted. It's not. It's quite easy to manipulate people. You were just manipulated. sometimes it's good to just sit there and say, you know what, I was conned. Yeah, we all gone through it. You've gone through it. I've gone through it. Yeah. And then later on you think, wow, that guy conned me. Because you've done your own research. It's like, nah, that's not true actually. Yeah. And sometimes that's how you grow, right? That's why you and I and our knowledge grows.
Yeah.
Because we're willing to go there and oh, shit, I got that one wrong.
And then you can question the next in stuff to come out and say, hold on, if I got duped last time, what else am I getting duped on? And
exactly.
That's how you can learn.
But these guys, the normies out there, don't want to admit it because they're like, I'm smart, I'm clever, you can't con me. And then it's like, no, that's the wrong mindset. Actually, you need to sit there and go, shit, I got duped. Yeah, I need to learn from what happened here.
Don't want that to happen
next time I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, and you got to remember, I do have smart friends. So when you've got friends who think they're smart as well, and they are smart, they're not idiots, yeah, right? When you feel like you're a very highly intelligent person, and then you realize, oh my God, I just got conned. I'm not going to admit that though. Do you get it? And then just carry on going. It's the wrong way to be, but you get it, innit, right? Ego and pride gets in the way as well.
That's the word, ego, bruv.
So, but look, I'm going to play another clip now.
Yeah, that was a bit of a tangent, but that's what we do on that one random podcast.
It is though, but it ties in because mindset's important as well when you're trying to accept
perception is everything
and open your mind up to things.
Yeah.
I'm going to play a clip, and this clip's about our friends, the Anunnaki.
All right, let's hear it.
It's a short clip, kind of explains the whole story of theirs. You could probably add more to it. I know you, but Treble is like an expert, or close to the closest expert I know anyway when it comes to Anunnaki. Yeah,
I've looked into it in the past, innit? And things change though. Things are always changing, but
you're knowledgeable in it, so that helps as well for the people as well. So remember, if like Treble said earlier on, leave a comment. If you've got a question, we'll answer it. We'll even do a video on it or do an episode on it. So leave comments.
Or if you've got information that you think, you guys missed this or you should know about this, send it through.
Send it through. We'll happily talk about it, yeah? But I'm going to play this clip now, yeah?
Cool.
450,000 years ago, the Anunnaki first arrived on planet Earth searching for resources. With them, they brought 600 workers called the Igigi. It was these 600 who spread out across the continent of ancient Africa, with each one setting up an infrastructure enabling the Anunnaki to reap the benefits of a continent rich in all types of minerals. This is the story of the Anunnaki in ancient Africa, the decorated cities they built, the mines they created to obtain the metal that shines like the sun, and the spacecraft they utilized to convey their precious cargoes of gold. You will witness how they formed their stargates and how they were used, but most importantly, where and how they created their worker man. This is the Anunnaki connection. The Igigi were described as having long beards and long hair that reached their feet. Some scholars have suggested that the Igigi were akin to more modern depictions of angels, messengers of the gods who had wings. These theories are strengthened by art that often depicts them with long beards and hair, as well as large wings and bird-like feet. Simply put, the Igigi seem to have been a lower rank of gods. They were a servant class which existed before human beings were created. Occasionally, the term is used synonymously with Anunnaki, but this seems to be inappropriate. Consider the following passage taken from the myth of Atrahasis, an Akkadian creation myth and flood story. When the gods, man-like, bore the labor, carried the load, the gods' load was great, the toil grievous, the trouble excessive. The great Anunnaki, the seven, were making the Igigi undertake the toil. This passage definitely denotes the Igigi as separated from the Anunnaki, and certainly a lower caste of beings. The Igigi were being forced to dig a watercourse. They got tired of it, so they revolted against Enlil, one of the head Anunnaki. They burned their tools and surrounded Enlil's estate. When the Anunnaki realized that the Igigi were not going to give up the strike, they decide it is time for a new solution to their labor problem. And that solution is the creation of human beings.
So your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean that's the Anunnaki story, isn't it? these beings came, but they came with another race, these reptilian beings, and they were the original slave force.
Yeah.
Even though they were, so it was like a reptilian being, and then they brought their lower class people, just like how today we have.
But that's what I think Tucker Carlson touched on that with Rogan when we did that episode, and then David Icke on X recently. I've seen some of his tweets, and I know Joe Rogan doesn't like Icke, yeah, right, because Icke said a lot of things about him, but he's like, it's very strange that Joe doesn't want me on the show.
Well, it is though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is strange. He goes, considering I've been talking about this for the last 30 years.
It would be the biggest podcast, probably.
I think it would blow Alex Jones.
Well, I think
whatever Alex Jones, I think Alex Jones episodes have done like 30, 40 mil.
Yeah.
I think it would smash that.
I think so too, yeah.
Because it's Ike. And he's never had Ike.
Yeah.
And I always say this about Ike, yeah. It's hard to trust everyone, right? But if there was a voice that I trusted the most above everyone's, it would be Ike's. I've always said not 100% like, oh, I trust him 100% because there's obviously, I do have questions. Is he...
I think he's a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I do trust the information that he's coming out.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Because the thing with Ike, because I've read, he was one of the first books I started to read, and I've read a few of them, and it's not conspiracy. The guys, they're 700-page books. There's not, you can't just make up shit. Like you actually have to connect dots, and he does, and he explains the whole spider's web. He links it in with all the history. He links it in with all the societies and all the people.
But that's what I like about it.
He name drops everybody, and he connects the dots. But where I have my caution is he doesn't talk about certain stuff that, specifically flat Earth.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't really get into that.
He wants to just say it. I don't know why you're hiding it.
And I feel like he's gatekeeping that. So I'm not fully, everything he says to me is God sent, but I do believe that he is giving out a lot of truth, and he's the leading truth.
But this is what I like about David Icke. What I like about Icke is, like you said, I feel like he's the ultimate dot connector.
And
I've learned from, I have to admit, years ago when I first started listening to all these guys, Icke is the one that I probably learned how to connect dots.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you connect a dot to this dot to that dot, and why? Do you understand?
Yeah, that's the thing. He explains
and you start thinking, and I think when I started listening to Icke, when he explains it, I started thinking for myself. So I don't listen to Icke as much as I used to, because now I can connect the dots myself.
Exactly. Yeah. But he's kind of paved that way.
Yeah.
He shows like, look at the destination, and then you'll see the journey. And it's so easy to see where we're heading when you take that kind of philosophy to it. So Icke is definitely something to look into for sure.
But the thing is that he was saying it as well, like people laughed at him so hard. And now it's all coming true. You don't want to talk to the man that you laughed at, who was telling you 30 years ago, going on BBC with Terry Wogan, getting laughed at for it, who was telling you the truth all along.
All along.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's a bit strange that Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast in the world, regardless of what he thinks of Icke or whether he likes that Icke, you could challenge him to your face, innit? And have that conversation in that podcast as well. But you don't want him on to discuss these things.
That's where Joe Rogan kind of
comes unstuck for me.
But yeah, no, Icke he's definitely, I mean, like, the psychic told him they'll be talking about your stuff in 100 years. And that was in the 90s. So, 100 years, obviously, give or take. But let's say it's 100 years. We're talking 2090 is when people are going to wake up and be like, oh, shit, this was all said in the book.
Yeah.
100 years ago. 100 years goes by so quick. I watched a movie from 1920s, Metropolis, and they showed the whole debt slave workforce. And
the thing is, you got to wonder, in 100 years, are they going to even allow David Icke books?
They'll still be around. I've got a book. So
no, but I mean, like, I mean, like, in terms of publication.
Oh yeah, probably not. Everything's going digital, and then obviously they just have to wipe the internet database, and it's gone.
That's the bit I lean into, is like in 100 years from now, will David Icke will they try to, I suppose, get rid of the memory of David Icke as that guy who connected the dots?
They can try, but I think in 100
that's
years,
why it's important.
30 years ago, in like 60, 70 years, then.
But that's why it's important to pass it on generation to generation. Yeah. So you don't forget. But
that's what they said. We'll be talking about his book.
But that story of the Anunnaki there, I think that's a nice small clip that just pretty much explains it.
Sums it up, yeah. So there was this
like,
other race that
there's
came.
more to it. You have to go deep into. If you want to get deep into it, you can. But if you're someone on short attention span and you just want a quick summary, that was it.
And then, they didn't go into how the creation of humans. So they realized that this reptilian race wasn't going to start working. Like they didn't want to work anymore.
Yeah,
and they were starting to disobey it almost. So they were like, okay, we need a new slave race. What can we do? All right, what planet are we on? All right, take this lower hominid, monkey, whatever that was there, ape or caveman.
I don't think it was an ape.
I don't think it was an ape either, but they call it a lower hominid. And
everything there were already humanoids here, if that's the case, and they just took that and said, all right, we'll make you.
We'll make you. So they took a humanoid and then they added a bit of DNA in their image. This is the whole Adam and Eve story that we touched upon last time. Tweaked it so that they were understanding Prometheus, exactly like we talked about off camera, about Avatar and giant trees and stuff. And the movies are going to tell you how it is. And so this race, they took to the lower humanoid, hominid, whatever, and they tweaked the DNA just enough so that this race would understand them, obey the orders, but not enough that they would know their true powers and divinity. And that's where Enlil and Enki had that beef with the serpent on the tree and the forbidden fruit. And one was like, well, I kind of pity them a little bit. They are still our creation. But here's the knowledge. But
he still gives weight to what we're talking about originally, which is obviously the pyramids now the findings. Yeah, so this now gives a lot of weight to that theory of the Anunnaki, which I'm sure people out there are going to still deny.
I don't even think people can deny. I think people just don't know. I mean, if we were to do a survey on 100 people on the streets of
if you played that clip to them,
said,
if you played that clip to them and you said to them, look, giving what's coming out now, if we played all these clips now to people out there right now, I still feel like people would deny it. Like initially, even if you gave them, take a year, mull it over, look into it, there would be a lot of people who would say, no, not true, not buying it, blah, 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 bullshit, etc. Stuff like that. Do you get what I mean?
That's true. I used to say this to people. I remember I was talking about it back at like engineering school. I'm with engineers here, and my engineering professor, he was like, he's been to Egypt. So I was already talking to my classmates, I'm going, Anunnaki, alien, giants, all of it. They built the pyramid. And the professor comes in and he's like, what are you guys talking about? And I was like, have you been to Egypt? He's like, he's been to Egypt. I was like, all right, settle this debate then. What do you think about the pyramids? And I shit you not, he said, first word that came out of his head was aliens. And I just go, what? I told you. And everyone's like, sir, you just set him off. No, you can't say it. He's like, wait, what did I, like, wait, what did I do? And he was like, he was saying, though, he's like, look, I'm not actually saying that it was aliens, but when I was there and you see all the hieroglyphs and everything, he just can't comprehend that this was done by
human beings.
And as I said, this is, we're talking engineering professor here. And he was saying, I'm not agreeing with you, Treble. I'm not supporting you in this. Yeah. Like I can see you're debating everybody in the class right now. I'm not supporting you, but I did go to Egypt, and all I can say is I don't know what the fuck was going on over there, kind of thing. And then another student was like, "No, you're being disrespectful to the people of Egypt and this and that." I was like, "So who do you think built the pyramids?" And he's like, "Obviously the Egyptians." And I was thinking, "Oh my gosh, I can't talk to you guys." Like. But it's just interesting that we're talking like 8 years ago now, but that was 8 years ago in a room full of engineers and they don't believe it.
Yeah.
And they found it kind of funny. And then one guy was just like, no, the Egyptians built the Egyptian pyramids, obviously, which is obviously such a cop-out answer. But it's interesting now it's going to come mainstream. I'd like to see whether
it'd be interesting.
People change their minds.
Do you know though? It would be interesting if you caught up with those guys now.
It would be,
and say, well, okay, now what you got
to say, yeah. But it was just, I shit you not, man, the professor said it. He was like, aliens. And I just go off on a mad one, and he's like, whoa, I'm not here to entertain anything. Like, you just asked what I said.
This is the bit as well. Like, he said it's insulting to Egypt.
Yeah, another student said that, yeah.
And I was like, how's that insulting?
Because I'm saying that it wasn't the Egyptians. It's like he's like,
but it's still not insulting. I don't see the insult.
No, I don't
see the
either.
insult in that.
It's like trying to say, "Oh, who built Stonehenge? Oh, the English." Like,
no, you don't know that. You don't know that.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
Just because it's in England doesn't mean like,
that's what. That was my argument. And he was like, in Stonehenge terms, he's like, "No, it's insulting to the English people because obviously the English." That's not even true.
But then you have to ask the other question, right? Okay, so here's the other question. I'm going to put. Like, say we had that guy in the room right now. I would say to him, I'd say, okay, so we got pyramids in Egypt. But then we got Mayan pyramids in South America, or whatever, which are pretty much identical in a sense the way they're built.
All over the world.
Well, all over the world, people had this same thought process to come up with these ideas to build these pyramids all over the world.
All over the world. It's a global civilization, isn't it? It was a world civilization.
But yet they were. You're telling me they were centuries apart.
You know what? They did give me an explanation. Some guy was like, yeah, obviously they're going to build pyramids because it's just like clumping dirt together. Like, you just clump sand. And
it's not a sandcastle, bro.
But this is their logic. Well, if it's with everybody knows from a young age.
These are 2 to 3 ton bricks being lifted off the ground and piled up. That's not precision accuracy. That's not a clumping of sand. And scientists even today have turned around and said they cannot rebuild. They cannot. If you ask them build the pyramids again,
can't do it.
Scientists said, what do they say? Mathematically, we can't do it. Explain that to me then.
You know what I also saw about why we can't do it today? It's going to cost way too much.
Forget cost. I'm just saying, say you had the money.
Yeah,
they're still saying they can't do it.
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with cost. Yeah, the fact that the scientists themselves are saying mathematically we cannot do it. Yeah, if some billionaire like Elon Musk came along and said, like, here's your money, build me a pyramid, exactly like those ones.
Yeah,
build me another one of those, and they won't be able to do it.
No,
they've already openly admitted that.
Like the astrological precision to it. It just doesn't make sense. Nothing that we do today.
You need to watch the movie Stargate still, man.
Stargate?
Yeah, watch it.
All right.
Because they touched on Stargates in here.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to watch Stargate. Yeah, with Russell Crowe.
Okay.
Good movie as well. It's good watch. But you'll love it even more because of all of this.
Is that like a Prometheus level kind of understanding or?
Kind of.
Or is it like some space is fake bullshit kind of?
No.
Stargates are real things. Like they got Stargates in South America.
Just watch it. Don't think about what it's like. Just watch it.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like I've loved that movie Stargate. Yeah. They even had it as a TV series as well for a while. I never watched the series. I thought, no, I don't want to watch the series. Yeah. The movie was great. But it was a great watch. Just watch it. Yeah. Okay. And see how and yes. I don't spoil it. I'll watch it. You got to watch it. Watch it. Yeah.
Cypher approved.
Just watch it. Yeah. And when you're watching it, you're gonna think of all of this stuff we're talking about now. What the? And that was back in the 90s that got made. So you're essentially programming people, anyways.
Yeah.
That's what movies do, right? It's predictive programming.
But if you open your eyes to it, then you can kind of overcome or overpass the programming and look at it with a different perspective of, or maybe they're actually, showing us some truth in here. Whereas obviously if you're still a normie and you watch a movie, it's just a movie. I like the actress. Oh, she had nice makeup.
Whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely got to watch it. All right, I'm going to play another clip, yeah? This one's to do with Jesus, actually.
Okay.
And connection to the Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki, man.
And who was Jesus really?
All right, that's controversial. Right.
You watch it?
Yeah, go on then.
All right, cool.
Yeshua, often referred to as Jesus Christ in the Western world. His life, teachings, and enduring influence have deeply impacted the spiritual, cultural, and ethical landscapes of many communities. However, recent scholars' work hint at a far more complex and nuanced understanding of this iconic figure. The tale of Yeshua's origins is captivating and epic, blending elements of ancient mythology and what might seem like science fiction. Portrayed as a hybrid with connections to the Anunnaki, he is said to have embarked on a mission to elevate human consciousness. His mission was deeply connected with the esoteric wisdom of lost civilizations and the influence of beings from beyond our world. Beings traditionally seen as divine, such as the angel Gabriel, were actually advanced extraterrestrial entities. The story of Yeshua's formative years took him across the mystical lands of Egypt to the sacred traditions of India and Tibet. These were not mere travels. but profound initiations that deepened his spiritual insights and readied him for the monumental challenges ahead. One of the most captivating chapters involves his experiences in the Egyptian mystery schools. Here he faced rigorous spiritual and physical challenges reminiscent of the trials faced by mythical heroes, emerging fully realized. Yeshua's life and teachings also unfold against the backdrop of Judea under Roman rule. His radical ideas posed a threat to the oppressive societal structures of his time, leading to his crucifixion. A powerful symbol of his enduring legacy. Discovered in the 1970s in Egypt, the Gospel of Judas was not made public until 2006, after extensive restoration and translation efforts. The text is part of a collection of Gnostic writings, which present a wildly different perspective on the teachings and events of Jesus' life. Imagine a secret conversation between Judas and Jesus, where Judas steps forth not with a kiss of death, but with a declaration of recognition. Judas said to him, "Jesus, I know who you are and where you have come from. You are from the immortal realm of Barbello, and I am not worthy to utter the name of the one who has sent you." This cryptic reference, Barbello, might trace its roots back to the tongues of Aramaic or Akkadian civilizations. Bar, in the language of ancient Aramaic, signifies son or son of. Thus, Barbello whispers hints of divinity, possibly alluding to son of God or son of the gods. The sacred Hebrew texts are replete with over 2,600 mentions of these celestial beings. For Judas, his deity of allegiance was Jehovah, or Yahweh, the deity of warfare, standing in stark opposition to Baal, the Lord, but not the Lord, as in Jehovah. The name Baal, a title reverberating through the annals of time, morphs into Bel, Belos, or Belus, all paths leading to the mighty Jupiter, known to some as Zeus. Baal's essence is intertwined with ancient monikers like Babel, Babylon, or Babalu, a gateway to the divine. Jupiter's association with Marduk Belu, due to its astrological significance to Marduk, draws us into a celestial dance of names and titles. Belu, heralding the great lord, circles us back to the enigmatic Barbello, son of the great lord, perhaps son of Marduk. In this tapestry of names and divine connections, the narrative of Judas and Jesus weaves a complex pattern, inviting us to ponder the intricate web of spirituality and cosmic lineage that spans across cultures and eons, echoing in the silent spaces of our collective consciousness.
So your thoughts?
Whoa,
That was
heavy.
That was a lot of information.
I don't know, man. Like
Because he's connecting Jesus to Baal.
Yeah, I do have my set belief already. I'm open to new information. I do understand what the guy was saying. Like, look, the Gnostic scriptures, a lot of people don't even know what the Gnostic scriptures are. And they're like these lost
If
gospels.
you could give a short summary.
Basically, in the New Testament, you got the main gospels from the followers of Jesus. But then there was these Gnostic scriptures, which are other gospels. So you got the Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Judas, and Gospel of Mary Magdalene, for example. And in these scriptures, or in these gospels that they wrote, they tell a different story. So in the Gospel of Judas, from my understanding, and I have not read into the Gnostic scriptures, something I really need to do, because I feel like that's the real hidden truths. You know, the fact that the Vatican don't want you, the fact that they've taken that out of the Bible is a little bit more intriguing to look into. But in the Gospel of Judas, my understanding was Judas and Jesus were best friends. Like they were boys. And Jesus knew that the only way out of life you just have is death. Like that's the only thing that's guaranteed in life. The only way to actually meet God, the only way to actually free yourself from this matrix is death. And Judas knew that. Jesus knew that. And Judas kind of helped Jesus get to that by the kiss of death, or by
betraying
him in quotations. Jesus knew that though. Jesus knew Judas was going to betray him, and
so
Judas,
what, they planned it
in a way. Yeah, it sounds crazy, and this is why this is not the accepted mainstream. You go to a Christian, they're not gonna talk about this. Most of them think the Gnostic scriptures is heresy. They'll say no, that's blasphemy. Like, the Bible is a complete book. We've talked about this before. Complete book. Nothing's been changed. Nothing's been adulterated. Like, it's perfect as it is. And so when you talk about, but the Gnostic scriptures talks about Gospel of Judas and Gospel of Mary and Gospel of Thomas, and they don't want to hear none of that.
And well, the Book of Enoch was taken out.
And the Book of Enoch is it's like they don't want to hear none of that. But in the Gospel of Judas, my understanding was like, yeah, Judas and Jesus were boys, best friends, like right hand man kind of level stuff. And Jesus knew, Judas knew, Jesus wanted to die. Like, that's the only way out of this, this matrix. And Judas helped him do that. And then Judas followed suit. In the Gospel of Mary, there was this relationship going on between them. And Mary was also like the right hand. It was the feminine version of Jesus. So the basic laws of the universe is duality. You got masculine and feminine and the polar opposite. And Mary Magdalene was that polar opposite. The Catholic Church didn't want that because obviously they want to suppress women and keep the fatherhood, priesthood alive. And we can't have people knowing that women are powerful and equal. No. Jesus, that's it. But Mary had her story where she was actually a disciple, and the right hand.
Was she just a disciple? Was she his partner in life?
Well, see,
married?
I mean, that's a whole nother. I do believe that they.
Because you watched
married
that.
and they had a.
I don't know how much truth is in this, but you watched the
Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, and they talk about the Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail is actually Jesus's bloodline.
Yeah,
not an actual grail or physical object.
So
that's why I'm asking the question. Were they?
I do believe that, and the Da Vinci Code is loosely based off the Lincoln Code, and so this is where the UK comes into it a little bit. And in Lincoln, there's a massive cathedral there, very booky place actually, and they've got a lot of weird history. But in there's a statue of Jesus, and he's with a woman, and he's got a robe with a knot tied, and that was symbolic of him tying the knot, which means when you say you tied the knot, means you got married. Why did they say that? But like, why do we say tie the knot? We give wedding bands, we give rings. Yeah. So but tied the knot comes from back in the day when you got married, you would tie a knot, like a physical knot. And so in Lincoln, there's this statue of Jesus and Mary, or a woman. With open eyes, you can see that it's, you can connect the dot that's Mary, and he's got a robe and it's got a tied knot, and she's holding a baby. And so there's this. It's weird. I mean, like, if you're ever in England,
if you can see my face right now,
world, man. If you want to travel, come to England, go up to Lincoln, and just look at the cathedral with open eyes. Next door, there's like Lincoln Castle. They got the Magna Carta there. Just down the road was Isaac Newton. Very weird place. Most people have never even like been to Lincoln, let alone know about the cathedral and the hidden stuff there. But yeah, that is my understanding as well. Jesus and Mary were a thing, and they were demonstrating pure love between each other as well, and the masculine and the feminine divine energies. Mary knew everything as well. So Judas was like the best friend, and Mary was a partner.
Yeah.
And they did have a child. But then when they were getting hunted down, basically, they've left. They came over, they went through France, and they killed her, innit? They killed her and the baby. And they had the body hit. The Knights of Templar were protecting the body in Lincoln, and they brought the body to Lincoln, and it's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. I'd need to, if I knew we were going to talk about this, I should have had it written down a little bit just so I can give it in a more clear, because obviously I'm just going off my memory like,
I played that video because obviously it's the connection that the narrator is putting like. But
the problem I have with the narrator, because I do believe that Jesus in his formative years definitely was privy to some insider knowledge. I mean, one theory that I came across was that Jesus came to Britain and he learned from the Druids. He went to, say, for example, India, and learned from the the spiritual teachers over there, traveled the world. My understanding was that his great uncle, Joseph of Arimathea, was like a really rich trader, and that's why Jesus was allowed to go traveling with him. You know, we don't know nothing about Jesus' childhood. They tell you, oh, what? He was a carpenter's son, and he banged some wood together. And
I always found that weird.
And then all of a sudden he has a baptism and wakes up, or...
Yeah, I always found that weird. Like, they
don't talk about it.
Because there's this guy called Wes Huff, right? And he took on Billy Carson. Billy Carson, the Freemason. That's how I call it.
This is what I'm trying to... Yeah.
When he had that debate with him, he kind of he exposed Billy a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot actually. Because Billy was talking about this cyanide Bible and all this sort of stuff, and he was like he was correcting him, and then Billy was like, "Oh, okay, cool," like kind of thing, just accepting it. And then he's trying to shut him down, trying to get cease and assist letter sent out, and all that sort of stuff to this Wes Huff guy. I think his name is Wes Huff. He's a Christian scholar, knows his stuff, or what's
presented to him.
Yeah. He knows all of that. He's an expert in it. Yeah. Of, I suppose we could call it the traditional Christianity that we talk about all the time. But I think Billy Carson, obviously, he was, Wes Huff was obviously, he's very much saying that, I think he talks about the Book of Enoch, and saying that that's not real part of the Christian Bible and all this stuff. And it's just weird. You have to really go and watch what he's saying there. But it's true what you say. Like, if you speak to, like, you could tell he's a devout Christian who's clearly studied what's presented and put out there publicly. But if you try to convince him of otherwise,
but they've been taught that anything outside of the book, is devil sent almost, and so it's hard to convince Christians.
This is what I was going to say. So I think he says that because of they mentioned that how he went to Tibet and India, and he basically says, I think Wes Huff, that no, that's not true. So it's like,
but then explain his formative years. Explain what Jesus.
Where was he?
And so, as I said,
there's no chronicles.
Nothing
to explain what Jesus was and what before.
But there is stuff said about it, just not accepted in the mainstream, right? And the story goes that Jesus' great uncle was Joseph of Arimathea, who was also a follower, a disciple. Joseph of Arimathea was like a billionaire in today's time.
Okay.
Big trader, would go around the world on boats and trading tin and copper and all that stuff. And Jesus tagged along with him. And as Jesus was going around the world, he was also learning. So there's a story of Jesus coming to Cornwall in the UK.
What?
Yeah, this is the thing. There's stories about this, but just no, you don't know about it. But apparently Jesus came to Britain. There's folklore about it. Really weird stuff when, there wasn't the realm of believing it. Like, even, for example, when Jesus talks about sheep on pasture greens, where is he talking? What is he talking about? Is he talking about sheep in Palestine? Or is he talking about sheep in Wales? Crazy stuff, right? But he went there and he learned from the Druids, which are like the wizards in the UK.
Yeah.
And he learned from them, and they taught him all these different teachings and stuff. He goes back to Israel, and he's trying to teach people that there is a spiritual path, and you are connected to the Father. And the Jewish priesthood was like, this guy's causing a bit of a scene right now. People are getting a bit loud, and they're not really following control and order.
Yeah.
And the Romans who were occupying it wouldn't be happy if all of a sudden this guy is being paraded around as a king. Caesar's not going to be happy with that. Imagine this Palestinian or whatever, this man called Jesus is being worshipped by 50,000 people. The priesthood's going to collapse. The Romans aren't going to have it. They need to set an example, and that's when they sent him to execution, basically. But the story with Joseph Arimathea comes into it, was that he was a follower of Jesus. He was apparently the great uncle, I think it was. And he owned the land, the Garden of Eden. Like, not Garden of Eden, the Garden of Gethsemane. That was his land. And so he set a deal with the priesthood and basically said, look, you can use my land, you can find Jesus there, and then when you crucify him, we'll take him down like pretty much straight away. Like Jesus wasn't left up there. I think they took him down like within 24 hours or something. I don't want to misquote it, but normally when you crucify someone, you leave them up there. But once he was confirmed dead, they took him down straight away. And then he goes into a cave. They used all the ancient healing techniques. Apparently, like they soaked his body in aloe vera, healed him up. 3 days later, he comes out. And so, and the people see him as, oh, he's been resurrected. He's been, he's come back to life, but maybe he never, it's controversial, I know, but maybe he never actually died. And this is where the Gospel of Thomas comes into it.
That's very controversial.
It is very controversial. And in the Gnostic scriptures, again, the Gospel of Thomas, Thomas is like, no, Jesus was a man. He was a man. Like, I don't, and he didn't believe it like that. And so that's just a theory. And then Jesus went on to continue his missionary and then went over to America. And this is where the Book of Mormon stuff comes into it, and the Third Testament. And then the Mormon in the US, they're like, hold on, we just saw Jesus. I don't know. It's all theory. But there's a lot of crazy connections that they don't want us to look into, let alone consider. And it does pique interest.
It's got me curious.
But I tried to explain this at Bible study, and let's just say they weren't having it. And so, but that's also me just looking at it like, well, that's the doctrine, isn't it? That's the dogma. They've got you in terms of anything that is not in this Bible is sent by the devil. It's what they believe. But yeah, crazy.
But this is what I talked about where we talked about it last time. I don't want to get to, like, obviously we're more talking about the Anunnaki side of things, but this is where like what you've just said there is like, who has written those scriptures? Why have they written those scriptures? Why are there bits taken out of it? Do you know what I mean? Like, who's controlling what? So how do you believe any of the information? Because it's been taken by humans, right? So we talked about the Bible. How many times has it been cut and chopped and, do you know what I mean, and changed and stuff like that? But the interesting about this clip that we just played was obviously his connection to the Anunnaki. But then the way it was talking about.
But so see, this is where so back to that video.
Yeah,
I do believe Jesus was a real person. I think there is a lot of parallels as well. Jesus being linked to astrology and the planets and the Greek mythology, like he mentioned about Zeus and stuff. And that's where the name Jesus also stems from, like Jesus. And there is lots of parallels with Egyptian, with like Osiris and Isis and all these Egyptian gods and Greek gods and the story of Jesus. There's parallels that make sense. But if we're talking about like this historical figure, this man that walked the earth 2,000 years ago in the plains of Galilee, I don't believe at least that it's linked with Anunnaki demons, like because he mentioned Baal. I don't believe that. I do think Jesus was here to wake up the people in alignment with God, with the Creator, and I do believe that Judas was actually a good guy in all of that. Maybe he had good intentions at least, and I don't believe that he's an Anunnaki being, if that's what the guy was trying to say.
I feel like that's what he was trying to say.
I think he was privy to information, absolutely, and I do believe that Jesus was just ahead of his time, and he knew some stuff and he tried to preach it, and people got a bit overzealous about it. People instead, like, have you seen the movie Jesus Christ Superstar?
Donkey years ago.
To me, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, the old one.
The original 1973, yeah. But the whole musical score is amazing. But it gives a different perspective of it. And one of the key messages that I really take from it, though, was like in the opening song, Heaven on Their Minds, Judas, he's singing hard and he's like, you've begun to matter more than the things you say. And that was the problem. Jesus, the name Jesus and the person Jesus mattered more than what he was teaching. And that was the problem. But if you actually look at what the teachings of Jesus and really the core message, what is the core message that Jesus is trying to teach? Love God, love your neighbor. Keeping it simple. Don't judge others. Have love for family and love for friends and love for neighbors. Don't cast the, if your slate's not clean, then you can cast the first stone. Simple stuff. But people just started to idolize this guy, and that's when it became problematic. And then the only way to escape this matrix is you gotta die. But that's where the other theory that I was just touching on about, did he die?
Okay.
Did he?
I think that's a different topic altogether.
That's a different topic. But I don't believe he was an Anunnaki bloodline that came to deceive the world.
So you don't think he was created by the Anunnaki?
Nah.
Which is essentially, I think, is what that guy was.
It was that guy was trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe he was created by the Anunnaki. No. I think there's parallels to the Anunnaki story, parallels to the Egyptian, Greek mythology. Even the story of Christmas, for example, from the Jesus perspective, that's all to do with the solstices. And I don't know if we touched upon this last time.
You did.
About Jesus being the son of God, literally the sun, S-U-N, the big fireball, whatever you want, a plasma ball in the sky. On the winter solstice, it hits its lowest point and the sun stands still, solstice, sun still. And then 3 days later, it starts to rise again. That's the resurrection story.
Hey, listen, we're not going to go deep into this again because, I think we covered up.
Yeah, we did speak about it.
We did a 4.5 hour episode called "The Interview with an Exorcist," and we covered a hell of a lot of things off in there. So if you want to know more about what Treble's talking about, I suggest you go and watch that episode. Watch it in parts. When I watched it back, I watched it in parts. Yeah, so it took me about 3 days to watch it all. But a good conversation, so definitely go check that one out, guys, yeah? All right, so you just sent me a clip, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was that of?
Pyramids.
All right, cool. Let me try and get that downloaded first, and then we'll play it and then go into it.
But I don't believe Jesus was an Anunnaki creation. I think that's something that I'm skeptical. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
And this is where I'm iffy with the Anunnaki thing, right? Okay, I'm not, and I've said this to you, like I'm open to it all, but I believe there's one creator and one creator only. Yes, there might have been Anunnaki. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but my feeling is that whatever these beings were, they weren't with God, the creator. Very much against him. I personally feel. Yeah. I don't feel like these are beings that came in to exploit God's creation here. That's the way I look at it. It's one to go deep. I'll have to mull it over a little bit more in my head. But am I convinced that God was in on all of this? No.
The thing I find with the Anunnaki is, where did they go? And if they were wiped out by a cataclysm, because the way I look at it, flood or something, then that means God.
And this is me just talking off the top of my head.
Them out.
This is off the top of my head, right?
What did they do wrong then, isn't it?
It's off the top of my head. Okay. You look at the pyramids, and you look like at Egyptian gods like Ra and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. There's always been a connection to the demonic world, right? Technically, right? You look at Aleister Crowley, okay, who is probably the number one Satanist of all time. And if you don't know who Aleister Crowley is, go and check him out. Some of your favorite hip-hop stars and musicians love wearing his stuff on their jumpers and hoodies and stuff. Look at Jay-Z, for example. What was the famous quote? Do
what thou wilt.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what you basically do whatever you want. Regardless of how evil, demonic, or sinful it is, do it if you want to do it.
So the real principle should be do what you want on the proviso that you cause no harm to others. But that guy,
but Aleister Crowley, and he wrote the Book of Law. And where did he get that knowledge from? He was sitting in a pyramid when he got that knowledge. And if you read that book, I've never read it because I don't want it in my house. I just don't want it in my house. I don't know why I don't want it. But if you read that book, and those who have read it and studied it, it's the most evil, demonic shit out there, right? So I'm not bought into the whole that Anunnakis were other than the other side of God, and yeah, like Satan or whatever you want to call it, is that opposite to God and enemies to God.
But if the God is creator of all, then the God cannot
I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm perfectly right. Remember, I'd have to sit down and really mull it over, really go over all the information. I'm probably not in depth into it as I need to be able to make that comment. But from bits I've heard, bits of knowledge you've spat, am I fully convinced? Did they exist? Probably. Like you think about where did these pyramids come from? Who built them? Right? You got to think of it that a slave race helped build it, right? That doesn't mean that it was sticks and stones and there was actual technology used to build these things. So you've gone with that story, but then you've taken out all the bits about the advanced technology that was used to make it, and you just made it into a story of stone and mud, and do you get what I mean? You've changed the narrative. Do I fully believe? Yeah, I believe like in one creator and stuff like that. I still believe in that. And I don't necessarily believe the Anunnaki were on that side. Invading hordes come to exploit a creation of God. That's how it looks like to me.
And then
these clips pretty much felt like that as well when the way they were talking about it. So, and then I'm guessing, did they get wiped out?
Well, there was a massive flood in it. So,
did the Anunnaki get wiped out? Are the Anunnaki the demons? I don't know.
Well, they definitely got casted out of this land, and that would be in line with the idea that God was like, no, I've had enough of you guys, off you go.
Yeah.
And washed them out, and then that's when the reset happened. Possibly.
So it's a hard one, isn't it? But then when you look at it now, what's under the sea now? Because that's where they're saying they're coming from.
I also think they're coming from like the outer lands, like Antarctica ends.
Yeah, I know you. I know what you mean.
We're
going into flat Earth. Right?
Yeah, but that's also part of it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I haven't looked enough into flat Earth to know whether I agree with you on that one or not.
Yeah, they're from that's why they keep that a secret, isn't it? You can't go to Antarctica. Yeah. They're living over there.
But it is interesting.
There's pyramids.
I think there's a lot of complex.
You know what country has a lot of pyramids? China. Have you seen that? They found them on the satellite images, but they're putting rice fields on them to cover it up. But China is riddled with so many pyramids, and they're covering them up.
But that's why they are always what should we call it? That's why they're always that not always. Sorry, what am I about? That's why they made the third Mummy movie about.
Is it? I've not seen it. Well,
so you got Mummy 1, which is the first one, which was very much set in Egypt. Mummy 2 again set in Egypt again. And the Mummy 3 was pyramids in China.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not seen that, but that is actually, oh man. Because I saw it on the satellite images, but they're covering it up. And China's very much on censorship as well. And they're like, no news on this.
Yeah, they
I didn't know that the Mummy 3 was set in China.
Yeah, set in China.
That's jokes.
A Chinese emperor that was mummified as well.
Oh, right. All right, so they're telling us then.
Yeah, they're telling you something, right? So, and let's not be real. In Antarctica, whether you believe it's flat, ice wall, whatever it is, there is a pyramid. Joe Rogan's talked about it for crying out loud, and he's still up. So,
yeah.
So pyramids all over the world, man. And you think about it, the Predator movie, Predator versus Alien, when it came out, that again was an underground pyramid buried under ice. So as you and I know, the movies are telling you something.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because you've got to really get into it. But I don't know. It's a weird one. But you sent me a clip about pyramids, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll try and download that, and then we'll watch that and get into it.
What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so awe-inspiring, and narrative shattering that I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who were studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Biondi and Corrado Malanga, called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography. So this was used to explore the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to achieve a high resolution, full 3D tomographic imagery of the pyramid's interior and subsurface components. The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock, in fact over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep down. This is what we know so far. Utilizing high-resolution radar images from Capella Space and Umbra, which are 2 private companies that specialize in satellite-based synthetic aperture radar imaging. This has allowed researchers to create a 3D model of the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, this model has revealed a previously unknown chamber with 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof, which in of itself is an architectural design unlike any previously documented in the Giza Pyramid. But the most shocking discovery lies beneath the surface. Below ground level, radar tomography has identified vertical cylindrical structures extending for hundreds of meters beneath the pyramid. There are 8 of these cylindrical wells arranged in 2 parallel rows, descending to an astonishing depth of 648 meters. Even more intriguing, at the base of these structures are 2 massive cubic formations measuring approximately 80 meters in diameter. The tomographic data suggests that these are vertical wells with intricate spiral pathways. Now, this design not only implies a functional purpose, but also a level of sophisticated engineering that completely blows the dynastic Egyptian model out of the water. I mean, the pyramid itself was already a massive red flag in the ancient Egyptian historical narrative. But now, with this discovery, I think it's become impossible to say that the Egyptian civilizations that we understand, that we've been taught about, were responsible for building these structures. And it doesn't even end there. The radar analysis extends beneath the entire Giza plateau, revealing interconnected structures beneath not only the Great Pyramid of Giza, but also those of Khufu and Menkaure. The subsurface network reaches down to a staggering depth of approximately 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers. This is not possible given the standard historical and archaeological narrative given to us about ancient Egypt. Now, I'm hearing that there is more to come. There is a 4-hour presentation that's going to be released by the research team. This is what I'm hearing. That's going to go into every detail of their findings. This has essentially been a strategic release of incredible data ahead of time to get people interested. And I am more interested in this than basically anything else right now, because this is by far the most provocative piece of evidence for not only a potential technological explanation for the purpose of the Giza complex, but it also provides the most extraordinary evidence for a pre-flood era civilization that was flourishing in a way that we can scarcely comprehend. It's also possible that this spiraling cylindrical series of structures are staircases. And I can't help but think of the channeled writings of Thoth the Atlantean. You know, the emerald tablets, speaking of a lost hall of records, a sacred hall of knowledge below the Giza plateau, the halls of Amenti. Could this be the lost hall of records from the pre-flood era? Now, obviously, this discovery is extremely controversial. It runs as a complete contradiction of the established narratives and status quo in mainstream academia on these issues. This will cause big waves throughout the academic and the wider world if they can fully evidence these findings. But the results so far seem pretty clear. There is obviously significant structural engineering taking place deep below the pyramids and the Giza Plateau in general. Has this changed your mind on the pyramids? Has this strengthened your position on what they might have been? Has this new discovery given you any new ideas about what the implications are? Let me know in the comment section below, and honestly, everyone, share this far and wide. This is such interesting stuff. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll just have to see where this goes, because rest assured, I'll be keeping a very close eye on any coming announcements and updates on this issue. This plays directly into one of my main interests, which is, of course, prehistorical civilizational implications. What was going on before the global cataclysm? Well, I think moments like this could shed light on that question.
The guy didn't really say much, to be honest with you. I know you didn't watch it. You may say that.
Yeah. But it's basically what we already covered. Look, the discoveries happened.
Yeah.
Supposedly. I thought he was going to actually go into it. He said there's like a 4-hour talk that they're going to actually break down the research.
Yeah, they're going to have a conference.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what that says.
Well, he's repeated what we said. Look, it's if it's true, then the narrative has to change, and that's going to be interesting to see what happens, because that's going to change all the history books.
Look, it will do. I think it's definitely gonna. They're definitely setting us up for something. There's nothing that they don't put things out like that mainstream. And now Piers Morgan's talking about it. That just says it all to me. They definitely don't put something like that out there without intention, and there's a purpose behind it. And I definitely. All this UAP stuff and all the stuff, all of it's all going to come to one. You're going to have a World War III, and then suddenly, poof, hey, we're here to save the day.
But who gave them the green light to investigate this? Who said that they?
I don't know whether they investigated or whether they've been sitting on it for a long time.
Because the Egyptian government do not allow scientists to go and do their research there. I know he said it's a non-invasive system that they're using, but I'm surprised that Egypt would allow it. Because what I heard as well about the Egyptologists, why they don't allow any other narrative, is because obviously a lot of Egyptian are Muslim. It's a Muslim country. And the Egyptologists, obviously being Muslim, believe that the world was created 6,000 years ago. And so any conflicting narrative of a civilization dating way past that, with the new flood stuff that they're talking about 10,000 BC, and we're talking maybe 50,000, who knows how long ago it was, then that kind of invalidates the Quran, and they don't want that.
So the Egyptologists aren't going to allow any sort of narrative to come out other than
what's in line with their religion. And so that's why they refused a lot of archaeologists and geologists that are suggesting that there's something.
But all religions work like that, don't they? Protect their own story as well, in a sense, don't they? So, no, I get it, because obviously they're programmed into believing this, and now you're coming up with something else, and you're like, well, no, we don't want our faith and our belief system to be destroyed like that, so we're not going to allow it. That's why certain scriptures aren't hidden away in the back, and I don't even want to go deep into it. I'm just saying. Right? You take certain things and you hide them and protect them so it doesn't upset the apple cart or the element of control. Correct?
Yep.
Cool. Anything else you want to add on to this?
Be interesting to see how it's all going to unfold. The discovery of this pyramid.
Do you know what though? It's really weird, right? Yeah, because the other day I was like, just hurry up with it all, Like, you know when you've been talking about it for 15, 20 years. Yeah, like you've been talking about it since you were very young, right? I've been talking about it since my mid-20s ish, and you just think like, hurry up, it's taking too long. Hurry up, like I suppose for us theorists, we're like getting impatient because we're like, we know what's coming. Just put it out there. Let's go.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you have to program the normies, right?
Plant the seed.
What do you think happens then, though?
Happens when
there's no coming back from that then. Like, once the control and the elements in place, there's literally no coming back to it. Do you believe there's no coming back from that?
As in, once the history books are rewritten?
No, yeah, once the plan's in place, the agenda.
Probably not. Probably not. Especially, I mean, what agenda are we talking about? We're talking about fully going cashless and digital. And
But this whole agenda of one world government,
don't think you
cash,
can go back.
whatever you want to call it, complete control.
I think that's evolution. I don't. You can't. Can you take out the V? Can you go back from that, for example?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Once you start tweaking DNA and genetics and your biochemistry, and you start merging us with AI and technology, no going
thing
back.
is, it was interesting. I was talking the other day, right, and it was that British MP who's saying that he was really quiet. Like, I think I've got a clip of it. We have to do another episode on it. Yeah, but I'll just give you a brief. I forgot his name, Andrew Bridgerton or something like that. I think he used this clip in the Ukraine episode as well. Former British MP, and he turned around and said, he goes, they've learned that they don't need 90% of us. Only 10%.
Saw that, yeah.
Only 10% of us.
Because the technology's already there.
Technology will be there to do the rest. And the ones that, the 10% that, in my head, he doesn't say this, but the 10% that are left are going to be augmented with technology anyway. Chips and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it makes sense. There's too many. I mean, as we were talking about earlier about taking our minds out and putting it into either normie or into the elites or whatever. If you were to think like the elites and you were looking at it and you're saying, yeah, we got technology now that can do the work. We can get robots and we don't need human labor. And human labor, they still want life. They don't want to work 24/7. They want to do 8 hours and then have a life, quote unquote, and be useless eaters. Then it makes sense that they might want to just take them all out, which is dark because that's, as you said, 90% of the world.
But the thing is, this is the other thing that always be right. So we're talking about how people aren't aware of all these stuff. The stuff that's going on with the pyramids, the how we're talking about it's a power plant and all that sort of stuff, UAPs and all that sort of stuff. And they're not taking notice also at the same time that technology is coming to replace you.
Yeah.
And you see it in the comment sections when you see AI videos and say, well, they're going to take over us, they're going to replace us, they're going to take our jobs. No, they're not. Look how slow they move. And I'm like, no. Yeah, okay. In 5 years since COVID started till now, look how quickly everything's come out.
Super fast. And it's only going to get faster.
And it's only getting faster.
It's like machine learning.
So imagine by 2030 where we're going to be at.
Yeah. Even on a...
They've got robot waiters, for crying out loud, serving you.
No, it's a mad
one.
Future.
We'll see what happens.
See,
and you think these guys, Tucker Carlson, like people like that, are just putting it out there. Joe Rogan's just putting it out there, is he?
Planting the seed.
Piers Morgan is just talking about it for the sake of it, is he? No, mainstream media are putting it out there for you. And a lot of people are going to say, no, those aren't mainstream media. They are mainstream media. They're the new mainstream media now. Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, Piers Morgan, these are all the new mainstream media assigned to do what the old mainstream media can no longer do.
What about Andrew Tate? What do you see with that guy?
He's part of it as well, man. Top grandmaster, isn't it?
Oh, I know. In his
chess piece, Masonic boards.
His dad was CIA.
Tucker Carlson's dad was CIA.
Top G-Y.
Top grandmaster, isn't it? It's not that you always agree with these guys with a lot of things they say. That's how they get you on their side. But top grandmaster, isn't it? Got nothing against Andrew Tate, but
yeah,
just like I've got nothing against Joe Rogan, got nothing against Tucker, got nothing against Alex Jones, David Icke. But anything else you want to add? All right, guys, look, that's us done for this episode. Yeah, hopefully you lot found that interesting,
and
informative. Again, let us know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, comment, give us information, something you want us to look into, maybe something we've missed that we can review and actually then do an episode on. But most importantly, like, share, and subscribe. And obviously, listen, look, YouTube ain't doing us any favors, yeah? So I don't even know if this episode will go up, because last time we put the Joe Rogan Tucker Carlson one, that one got bam, came down straight away.
Yeah.
But you can see all the episodes over on Rumble, Spotify. We are over there. We're on TikTok. We're on X. More active on TikTok, I would say. We're also on Telegram. What else we got? We've got Substack. Like, listen, look, all the links are in the description and on our About page here on YouTube. Just go and check them out. We need all the support you can give us. So like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Cypher.
I'm Trouble.
And we out.
Question everything.